All right, so Judas um, received the bread, and then he went out, and it was night. When he was gone, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. When therefore he had gone out, says Jesus, now has been glorified the Son of Man, and God has been glorified in him." So glorified is idoxaste, and here it looks like this term idoxaste only appears in John's Gospel. So he's saying now it's done. So whatever event happened between Judas and Jesus here, um, that is how Jesus glorified the Son of Man and how God is glorified in the Son of Man. If God is glorified in him, God will glorify the Son in himself and will glorify him at once. If God is glorified in him also, God will glorify him in himself and immediately will glorify him. Okay, let's look to the use of the word kai. If God is glorified in him, kai, God will glorify him in himself, kai. Let's try that again. If God is glorified in him, kai. Now this could mean both or and or also. God will glorify him in himself. Kai immediately will glorify him. So both immediately will glorify him. He says, "My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, so I tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come. Little children yet, a little while with you I am. You will seek me, and as I said to the Jews, where I go, you not are able to come. Also to you I say now, Kai to you I say now. Little children yet, a little while with you I am. You will seek me, and as I said to the Jews, where I go, you are not able to come. Also I say to you now." I think maybe the point of this passage is that he's talking to children, little children, uh, who, for a little while at least, might seek the meaning of John 13. And where he goes in John 13, little children will not be able to come. Because where Jesus is going in John 13:27 is something you can probably only really understand after puberty. So 34, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. A commandment new I give to you, that you should agapate one another, as igapesa I have loved you, so also you agapate should love one another." This is an unconditional love, the sort of love that um, not only doesn't condemn sin, but, um, well, you should love unconditionally. Uh, I was going to say, not only should you forgive someone's sin, but maybe not even condemn their sins. In any case, this is a tighter knit crowd than the other Gospels. The other Gospels say, "Love even your enemies." For instance, Matthew 5:44 says, "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." and it uses the same form of love. I, however, say to you, agapate, the enemies of you, and pray for those persecuting you. Bless those cursing you, good do to those persecuting you and hating you. So this is the same type of love, uh, agapate love. It is love without condition, um, that you should have for the enemies, for your enemies, those cursing you, and to those persecuting and hating you. You are to have agapate, agape love for them. So this should not be a new commandment uh, that Jesus is saying here. But it is new in the sense that this has not appeared in John's gospel yet. And this command he's only giving, this is after Judas has already been sent away. Now he's saying, love one another. So now that Judas is gone, he's not saying love Judas. He's saying to the remaining 11 disciples, um, because they've only been told to love each other. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. And this separates you from the disciple of Jesus of Bethlehem, um, because instead of being the disciple, or because a disciple of Jesus of Bethlehem would love even their enemies. But here in John's Gospel, by this will know all that to me disciples you are, if love you have, if agape love you have among one another. So let's review that. This is how you will know the disciples of Jesus Barabbas, son of the Father. They've been told love only one another. And this is after Judas has gone away. Jesus of Bethlehem, Jesus' house of meat, um, says, love even your enemies. So this is a distinction between um, the disciples of these two uh, characters. And it's kind of the two types of Christianity too, because there are the type of churches that are isolationist. They kind of collect amongst each other and talk about how great they are and how terrible everyone else in the world is. That's the ones that love only one another. And then they're the ones that are actually branching out, and uh, desire like good for all humanity, regardless of their beliefs. That would be more like Jesus of Bethlehem's disciples. Okay, so Simon Peter asked him, Lord, where are you going? Jesus replied, Where I am going, you cannot follow now, but you will follow later. Says to him Simon Peter, Lord, where go you? Answered him Jesus, Where I go not, you are able me now to follow. You will follow, however, afterward. Peter asked, Lord, why can't I follow you now? I will lay down my life for you. Says to him Peter, Lord, because of why not am I able you to follow presently? The life of me, for you, I will lay down. Then Jesus answered, Will you really lay down your life for me? Very truly, I tell you, before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. Answered Jesus, The life of you, for me, will you lay down? Truly, truly, I say to you, no, not the rooster will crow until that you will deny me 3 times. So it's a little while before we get to that point. We're just finishing up chapter 13 of John. Chapter 14 and chapter 15 and chapter 16 and chapter 17 are all just Jesus staying up through the night, talking and talking with his disciples, and then he gives his last prayer. In the other Gospels, John, Peter, and John did not stay awake for Jesus' last prayer. And then finally, in John 18, Jesus crosses the Kidron Valley to a garden where he is arrested. Judas does not kiss him. And then on, so I've labeled all of these Thursday. It's all Thursday. And then Jesus is brought to Annas in John 18, 12, 21, 12 through 14. Then you have Peter's first denial. Then Jesus is tried before Annas in John, and then Jesus is sent to Caiaphas. And then Peter's second and third denials happen while Jesus, I gather, while Jesus is either on his way from Annas to Caiaphas or while Caiaphas is trying Jesus. But they skip over what Caiaphas says to Jesus. In Matthew, the order is a little different. Jesus is taken straight to Caiaphas. Peter betrays Jesus 3 times, and it's in a slightly different order. Mark also has the trial before Caiaphas, and then Peter disowns him. Luke also has the trial before Caiaphas, then followed by Peter's denial. I guess the significance of all this is to say, in John's Gospel, uh, Peter denies um, Peter denies Jesus 3 times before Jesus is taken from Caiaphas. We don't get to hear here what Jesus said in front of Caiaphas, but in the other Gospels it reports what Jesus said in front of Caiaphas. He said, when the high priest said to him, "I charge you under oath by the living God, tell us if you are the Messiah, the Son of the God." And he says, "You have said so. But I say to all of you, from now on, you will see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." Now, for whatever reason, the high priests heard this, what he said, and they immediately interpreted it as blasphemy. To my mind, for them to so quickly say that this is blasphemy, they don't have to take a moment to think about what he just said. There must be some kind of common euphemism that was around at the time that they found particularly offensive when he said this. See how it works? One of the high priests, a relative of the man whose ears Peter had cut off, challenged him. "Didn't I see you in the garden?" And again Peter denied it, and at that moment a rooster began to crow. That would have been the exact moment that right before the Jewish leaders took Jesus from Caiaphas. At this exact moment in the other Gospels is exactly when Jesus said, "From now on, you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." So I think what John is trying to do is put these two things together, put the timeline together exactly so that that statement by Jesus in the other Gospels is the rooster crowing.